Raise and support vehicle to gain access to the underside. Identify correct jacking points by locating the triangle stamped into the unibody sheet metal or vehicle frame. Raising the vehicle in any other location may result in vehicle shifting or falling. Failure to follow these instructions may result in serious personal injury. GT350 short throw shifter installation instructions. Ford part number M7210M8A. Never get underneath a vehicle that is supported only by a jack. The jack could unintentionally lower. Always support the vehicle with floor stands. Failure to follow these instructions may result in serious personal injury. This installation is rated 3 of 5 wrenches in difficulty. The jack provided with the vehicle is intended to be used only in an emergency for a flat tire. To avoid damage to the vehicle, never use the jack to hoist the vehicle for any other purpose. The following tools are required to perform this installation: a hammer, a ratchet with a metric socket set, a paint marker, a set of Allen wrenches, a measuring device, pliers, scissors, a trim removal tool, screwdrivers, and a pick. Begin by rotating the gearshift knob counterclockwise to remove the gearshift knob. Using an interior trim remover, release the gearshift lever boot from the floor console, starting at the front sides and moving rearward. Release the retainers and remove the gearshift lever boot. Using a punch, remove the roll pin, then install the anti-rattle washer and the spring. Remove the reverse lockout collar. Remove the rubber reverse lockout spacer and the 2 O-rings on the shifter shaft. From the underside of the vehicle, remove the retainer clip, then remove the steel pin. Lower the shifter actuation arm from the shift lever and place it to the side. Remove the 2 10mm shifter retaining plate bolts. Remove the shifter retaining plate. Slide the shift handle assembly downwards and out of the shifter housing. Verify that the upper shifter bushing rubber isolator comes out with the shifter handle assembly. Utilizing the steel pin removed in Step 8 or a suitable punch, gently tap the shifter pivot bushing to remove from the shifter handle assembly. Gently pull the lower shifter boot over the lower portion of the shifter to remove. Remove the shift handle pivot bushing by gently pushing downwards until it is released from the pivot ball. Slide the bushing over the lower pivot to remove completely. Apply a liberal amount of the supplied grease to the shifter shaft pivot. Articulate the bushing around to ensure the grease has completely covered the shifter shaft pivot. Install the shift handle pivot bushing onto the new shifter shaft by sliding it over the lower portion, then gently pushing upwards until it is positioned over the pivot ball. Install the lower shifter boot by gently feeding it around the new shifter shaft. Apply a liberal amount of the supplied grease to the shifter shaft pivot and to all the voids in the shifter shaft pivot bushing. Align the shifter pivot bushing with the shifter handle, using a rubber mallet to gently tap the bushing into the shifter shaft until it is fully seated. Apply the supplied grease to the upper shifter bushing rubber isolator removed in Step 11. Reinstall onto the top of the shifter shaft pivot assembly. Slide the new shift handle assembly onto the shifter housing. Verify that the upper shifter bushing rubber isolator stays in position as the assembly is installed. Install the shifter retaining plate. Apply the supplied blue thread locking compound to the 2 bolts, torque to 75 inch-pounds or 8.5 Newton-meters. Realign the lower shift actuation arm to the new handle assembly. Install the steel pin, then install the retaining clip. Using a small pair of pliers, carefully remove the 2 round anti-rattle pads from the OEM reverse lockout collar. Install both anti-rattle pads into the new reverse lockout collar. From the inside of the car, apply a liberal amount of the supplied grease to the shift handle cylinder. Then install the rubber reverse lockout spacer removed in Step 7. Install the lower O-ring removed in Step 7. Then slide new reverse lockout collar onto shifter shaft. Install the spring over the shifter shaft. Then install the anti-rattle washer removed in step 5. Install upper O-ring. Tap the provided roll pin through the anti-rattle washer until it is centered with the shift handle. Modify the OEM foam insulator by trimming it approximately 19 mm from the top edge to provide clearance for the new reverse lockout collar. Install the OEM foam insulator over the shifter assembly and verify there's no interference with the lockout collar. It may require more trimming to fully clear collar. Install the gear shift lever boot over the shifter handle and slide it into the reverse lockout and orientate the boot to its proper position. Evenly tighten the 3 set screws until the shifter boot assembly is secured. Do not over-tighten. Clip the gear shift lever boot securely into place in the center console. Thread the provided jam nut onto the shifter shaft. Start by setting the jam nut to 14 mm measured from the top of the shifter handle to the bottom of the nut. Thread the shifter knob onto the shift handle until it meets the jam nut. Visually look at the shift knob pattern orientation. Remove the knob and adjust the jam nut up or down in quarter turn increments until the orientation is satisfactory. Remove the shifter knob. Record the current measured distance from the top of the shifter handle to the top of the nut. After satisfactory shift knob orientation is established, verify the proper reverse lockout operation and functionality. Remove the jam nut. Place blue thread locking compound onto the shifter shaft threads just above your recorded jam nut measurement. Install a jam nut over the locking compound and set it to your recorded measurement. Allow locking compound to set up and install shift knob. And that's the procedures involved in installing the GT350 short throw shifter. There are also 3 colors of shift knob available: white, red, black, available for purchase separately. The black part number is M7213M8SB. The white is part number M7213M8SW. The red is M7213M8SR.